The jobs of 900 workers are at risk and thousands of jobs from secondary industries are being threatened as Goodyear announces this week that it was closing its factory in Nelson Mandela Bay. And for more on this, we now speak to Numsa spokesperson Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, and she joins us now via our video link. Phakamile, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. I mean, just looking at that story, how concerned are you as Numsa that we may be facing more job cuts in the sector?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on your show. So yes, we are very concerned about the announcement that was made by Goodyear South Africa that it intends to close its manufacturing plant, which is located in Kariga in the Eastern Cape. And the fact that in their letter, it's a proposal that this is what they intend to do. And of course, they talk about how it's likely to affect 907 workers. And the fact that we're looking here at, these job losses, we must understand that more than 900 workers would be affected because the closure of that plant, if it was to go through, would actually have an impact on the value chain. It would mean other businesses that are dependent on that particular on offering services to Goodyear would also be affected.
And talking about, the ramifications of the closure of just one company, and what will it ultimately mean just for the value chain overall? At the same time, what does it mean for the Utenay community to see major job losses in that sector, and how it will impact the people of that region?
It's going to have a major impact. Already, when the announcement was made, we got a flood of messages on our social media pages. Comrades have been communicating in WhatsApp groups. There's quite a lot of devastation, stress and distress, because Goodyear has a major impact on the local community, on the local economy there. And so people are very concerned that the closure of this plant will sort of deepen the situation. If you are in PE or in Gqeberha, one of the things you'll notice is that there are many empty factories, companies that have shut down, and in those areas where factories have closed and you see empty warehouses that are not operational, you don't see companies coming in to take over. So it is actually becoming a ghost town in some places. And that is of major concern to people. That when you read comments, that is really what is worrying them, because it's very clear that people are concerned that if this company closes, what does it mean for the future? Are there any plans to replace these jobs? This is a province that has got very high unemployment. If you look at the reports from Stats SA, the unemployment rate in that region sits at 42%, which is almost as high as the national average. So really, we are going to require intervention, hopefully from government, to try and mitigate against the social implications of what will happen when that company closes down.
And Phakamile, have you reached out to Goodyear South Africa to try and see if, there is a way to save some of these jobs?
When you read the Section 189 notice, they say that when they look at the business overall, they first of all feel that the reason they are proposing the closure of the manufacturing plant in that particular region is because the medium-term outlook for the economy as a whole is very poor. Secondly, they complain about the dumping of cheap products, of cheap tires onto the sector through imports. And they also talk about the fact that in Europe, they are experiencing a contraction in the sector to the extent where out of the 11 plants that exist in Europe, 2 have already closed down. So obviously we have not had a formal CCMA engagement with them in terms of Section 189. That is to come. And what we expect in that engagement would be for them to give us more details in their financials to demonstrate what they have stated in that letter. they don't see, according to their letter, they don't see an alternative.
Yeah.
We hope as a union to propose alternatives in those sessions. In every single Section 189, that is always our goal. Our goal is always to try and save jobs as much as possible. So it would be, I can only tell you what's in the letter. We'd have to have engagements with them for me to be able to give you more information.
Phakamile, thank you so much for your time and for that insight. That's Phakamile Hlubi-Majola there, the Numsa spokesperson, just giving us an insight in terms of that notice that has been released by Goodyear when it comes to the closure of its plant in South Africa, and also the implications, Phakamile speaking of, when it comes to how it will have an impact on the Uteneg community. Of course, as the Full View SABC News, we will indeed reach out to Goodyear for their response.